you can guarantee that you don't die in the mid game. Like, the lobby doesn't know where he is. And he's obviously not needed to farm any mats like we spoke about earlier. Yo, what's good? Today we're going to go through what it takes to have good mid games and solos. No long intros. Let's go. I first want to go through how these pro players in this Dig 4 solo finals, they all stick to their space and try and maximize their resources in that space before actually playing the mid game. So I've got a few examples. First we'll watch Cooper here. So this is the 2D replay, so you know, he can get through stuff quickly. So you can see he lands resistance base, he gets his loot, and he's here for quite a while. Like, you know, he's doing laps around. But notice how his material count's always going up. And by the time he leaves, he's fully ready for everything. He really doesn't have to stop much, and he can get on with it and just go to zone. I'll explain why after, but I do want to show a few more examples. We've got Vyas down here, who is conned. That was in my previous video, if you saw that. I think that was the same off-spawn fight. And then he spends all of this time just to make sure he's fully capped. In Storm, by the way. Like, Storm is over here. He's still here. And then he goes. And then also Bolts does the same thing. And then by the time he leaves, like, this is his split. By the time he leaves, he's pretty much 3-5-5. And the reason they all do this is because they know that they've controlled this little bit of space by landing here. So if I go to this drop map, he's pretty much claimed all of these chests and whatever's here, because he's obviously landed here, he's claimed it for himself. So he knows that this is the safest zone for him. However, if he was to go to this gas station, he now goes into this person's territory. And also, this person can see him, this person can see him. And as soon as they see more people at drop, they know something's not right, there's something to third party here, or there's going to be something, you know, an opportunity for them to fight. By just staying in your little zone and using your space effectively, you can guarantee that you don't die in the mid game, and you can actually get to end game with good resources. Now I have to say, not every drop is perfectly like this, because some areas of the map, for example Shogun Solitude, there is really not that much metal. And if the zone pulls north, very often these players will think, okay, let's go here, you might be able to get some metal, and then from there you can do your end game. Because everyone obviously knows they need metal, so they're going to go here. And I really like how Aoxy solved this problem. So if you look at the split, he's to be fair, he's probably teaming with these guys, but you know, even regardless of that, I do like how he's played it. So let's open up his metal here. He lands, and all he does is he gets the metal, and he immediately leaves because he knows he's controlled this part of the area. This is his split, so he can go here later for brick and wood, which, you know, no one's really going to fight for. But he knows people are going to want this metal, so he gets out of their way early, and now he's safe because realistically, that's not what people want. Pike's his teammate in trios, but we don't need to talk about that. He then gets whatever he needs from there, and Aoxy's safe from wherever he knows there's going to be people. And also, by the time he does leave his split, he is 5-5-5. And he's still playing to the fundamentals, but he's adapted it just a bit to understand his drop and what people need around his drop. So another fundamental I think you should have for your mid games is being hidden and staying quiet. So yes, we are running Stifferuni in 2025, but trust me, he does some things nice here that a lot of people can learn from. So he sees Void here, and he hasn't got any surge all game, so he really needs to get some tags here. And just as he went for the shot, he also saw managed to go for the shot as well. So now he knows there's someone here, and he really doesn't want to get tagged by them, because as soon as he gets tagged, then his rotate gets slower, he doesn't have time to, you know, get whites, and he's going to have to spend meds, spend mats. So instead he just invests the cash pad to get away. And now he's pretty much hidden in terms of the lobby. Like, the lobby doesn't know where he is. Like, even though he shot just like 10 seconds ago, now he's hidden again, and there's no risk of him dying. Obviously that costed 3 crash pads, but he knows he can just find 3 more just like that. I mean, there's obviously a bit of RNG to it, but, you know, that's better than getting tagged and having your rotate slow down, I think. I also really like how Day plays his mid game here. So he knows there's a surge base up on the hill, and he immediately gets to line of sight so he can cut off the angle. And he doesn't forget about it. A lot of players just think it's been dealt with and now they can forget. But Day's back to staring at them and gets to line of sight again. Now this isn't really the most, you know, optimal path. So he landed at Rainbow Fields and he got a kill here. And I think he's down here now. And there's only really line of sight here. And obviously center zone is here. However, he doesn't even bother trying to go to center. He goes to where there is a nice path that he can get to. So there's line of sight here, some here. I mean, spoiler, this is the path he takes. But the reason he does this is because this is the path of least resistance, because he knows there's so much line of sight he can use. And if he goes down this path, no matter where it takes him, he's going to save a lot more meds and mats than if he was to go this way, where he knows he's going to be much more exposed. So let's see that plan in action then. Stays in line of sight, not forgetting about the search phase behind him. So he's still got this hill here. And now he can also use these trees to cut off, that's Diego plays on this hill up here. Still going. Now line of sight comes to this side. Now he stares at this side. So now he's got more line of sight to use. And he's obviously not needed to farm any mats like we spoke about earlier, because, you know, he wants to just fully focus on rotating and not waste any time. So now here is a very interesting decision. So he sees the guy gliding, and this is the stat finals surge lobby. So a lot of players would go for the tags here. But he knows it's going to be better just to be patient, be quiet, and focus on getting a deeper position into zone. And now through just a nice path and being very quiet, he now has this nice position for the mid game. I also think it's a lot you can learn here by watching how Yomzo here doesn't really greed a center map position. So he's here right now. And obviously, you know, the ideal spot is center map. But he's very careful about where he can get to. So here he's using line of sight, just trying to make his position, just to see where he can go. So now he sees from here, he sees these ramps here, and I'm pretty sure he saw bolts here, and he saw these boxes and that. So now his decision is immediately, okay, there's no point trying to go any further, because it's just going to be people just spraying him, and there's not going to be any value in it, because the risk to reward isn't really worth it. So he just sits here for like 3 minutes, I think. Okay, well, it turns out it's even longer, because I know he stays here for a whole nother zone as well. But you get the idea. Like, he's let people build up around him and let them get tagged instead of him trying to get somewhere like here. And, you know, the amount of people he'd have to pass would genuinely be awful. So he just said, okay, that's fine. I'll do it all later. Right now, let's just chill, keep my resources. Now, you can really see this on the map as well, because if I just hit play, you can see how every player has their own little space. So Lixium's got his box here, Noxy, Cooper. No one's really clumped up together. I mean, apart from these guys, I don't know what they're doing. But if you watch a bot lobby, you see there's always going to be more congestion here, and then maybe like here, because no one really thinks about where they're going and thinks about the risk of each position. So everyone's got their own little pocket of space. You know, here you can see it really nicely. Box, 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 box. And no one's really trying to aggress each other, because they're just saying, okay, I've got to this position. I don't really need to go over there. I don't really need to go over there yet. Let me just chill. Obviously, that does lead to a lot of congestion in the future zones. But, you know, it's fine, because these guys are closer to making an endgame. And, you know, if they can see this fifth zone, they can make a targeted rotate. So, you know, if Caliper rotated, like, further in, he wouldn't have been able to know it pull back. So he would have spent mats to get here when he didn't even need to. Like, now Aoxy knows he needs to go, so he can go. I also want to talk about playing Storm in solos. So let's say you're landing at this split here, and okay, maybe it's opens and you get conned. So you know you're going to need more loot, you're going to need more metal, and zone pulse max. So what do you need to do? So firstly, I think you should already have an idea of what you're going to do before the tournament. And the way you do that is you think, okay, what's in your drop? Okay, you have this metal bit, and then you have these drops. Where can you get metal? Maybe you can get some here. I don't think that's good enough if that's your mentality. You need to firstly know, okay, what actually is metal in here? And you do that by maybe voting a pro, going into a custom, or just playing ranked, doing anything to work that out. And you can also turn on certain containers that I think can help you massively in planning your route. So, for example, you're landing at this split here, and you want to play Storm. So I've got the max pool shown here. You start here, and then, okay, let's use this campfire, then pad, then maybe I can scout around or hit this campfire, get my metal, because I know exactly where it is now, and then use this pad, and get into zone. So even though the zone is pulled all the way there, I'm perfectly comfortable with going here, where it's going to be super safe. I can go here, and then I still have a plan to get to zone. So this is how you can be safe in Storm, rather than just wandering along. Like, even though you're in Storm, you can still get tagged. But, you know, this kind of path isn't really that safe, because you're in the open, you're not really moving that quick. And as we talked about earlier, that's really important, you know, that you stay moving quick. And that's pretty much how you play Storm. You want to have a plan about it, and you want to be able to execute it properly, and still, you know, understand there are going to be other people in Storm. You just have to be ready for them. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. There's going to be one more part of this series for the end games, and do leave any feedback in the comments.